to say for the magical invocation.
Boom
I have the
shakalaka.
bone of my sword. That one.
English.
English.
I have forged over 1,000 blades.
I may wield none
Steel
of.
is my body and fire my blood.
I may never.
Unlimited blade works.
I will never hold anything. Oh, that's so depressing, but like so great.
What a scene. Welcome to Content Breaker. We are, of course, talking about Fate Stay Night from 2006 at Studio Dean's OG. We're joined by Kai. I'm Kelz. Strangely entertaining. 504 Zog. Gentlemen, we are continuing our arduous journey through the Fate Swamp.
Is that
For some
what?
it's arduous, for some we do it for fun.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm not gonna lie, I love it. I love all the Fate verse. Might be my favorite verse in anime, maybe.
Really?
Spoiler free, why?
The Nasu verse.
Yeah, the Natsu verse is fun. It's because you got the Natsu verse, you got the Monogatari verse, you got the what other verses are there? You got
Basically
technically
anything
the
that has a light.
Mashima verse now.
I was about to
Which-
say.
That's coming up. Like the Mashima verse is like shoot, it might be the Mashima verse actually, but we don't really see too many like the Fate verse. The Fates just has so many bangers, you know, like and so much interesting lore and like
And
It's
it all
probably the
started
most-
with Fate Stay Night.
yeah, it's probably the most intriguing to me. That's probably why it's
And
my favorite.
in depth.
Yeah,
Holy
so-
shit.
Thick.
yeah, I like thick boys.
Like,
so it's
if
pretty-
if you had trouble keeping up with the Silmarillion for Lord of the Rings, child, you don't not know.
And the
I
rough
don't-
part here is on some of us. We're on our rewatch. Some of us is the first time.
I was the first time.
It's hard to know what I'm not supposed to know.
Well, I
right
hope
now.
they were gentle with you.
that's what I
weren't.
run into the most.
They
I'm like,
weren't.
I really be doing the rewatches in depth because I'm like, okay, it's not more so for me to refresh because I retain everything. It's for me to know what I can't say. Like, I was like, okay, did that happen here? Nope, cool.
All right, Strange. First time go. What was your take on Face Day Night?
All right. Spoilers included, or just
Spoiler free, just kind of first blush. How did
First
you feel
impression.
about it?
first impression? Well, since I watched the prequel to this, it's very interesting knowing exactly who was who, and so there wasn't really a whole lot of twist, just of like, when is that gonna happen? When are they gonna show up? Like what's
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so there wasn't a
That-
whole lot of like intrigue with it, but I did appreciate it for knowing that this was like the first one and that this was like laying the groundwork for things to come.
Well-
Probably yes, should have watched this first and then gone back.
Yes.
Maybe that would have been like, oh wow, it's mind blowing. But I was like, no, that makes sense.
I
Like-
will say, if you're just looking for the story of the characters involved in this one, in this Holy Grail War, start with Dean Stay Night. Start with this one. But if you're looking for an understanding for like all of the Fateverse and why the Grails are the Grail Wars are all the same but all different, Fate Zero is the best place to start because it gives you the bare bones what a Grail War is and how it's supposed to be fought.
I do feel like that Zero was, because knowing what I know about Unlimited Blade Works, I know it's just like a different kind of like.
Which we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But it was,
Eventually.
and maybe knowing what I know about our main character doesn't exactly. I was like, oh yeah. it was kind of a. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a slog at the beginning. Very
Sure,
much just
sure.
like.
But it's setting the groundwork so that the future ones don't have to.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate I appreciate Fate Zero for being an incredibly great hook into Ufotable's new run. Right, that's how you get him hooked, and it's bittersweet that Ufotable's not gonna come touch Studio Dean Stay Night and do a reanimation.
What?
But
Come
hey,
on.
They said they respect Studio Dean's adaptation.
Because
So shout out to them for being real ones.
Studio Dean's an OG.
I feel that. I understand that. Studio Dean kind of combined all three routes, and I just want one pure Fate route. So,
I mean, so let's talk about it. All right. Other than Fate Zero, we start with Fate Stay Night. Fate Stay Night is, of course, based on the visual novel that has 3 distinct plot arcs that you can follow in the same universe with the same characters.
yes, it's all the same story, but all the unique stories in their own.
Yeah. So same setting, same universe, different plot as we chase the route down. And so Studio Dean starts off with, and of course it's a fucking visual novel, so it's all about the girls you choose.
Hey.
Studio Dean focuses on the saber route.
I say that I was not really prepared for. I was like, if I didn't know any better, I'd say this was based off some kind of dating simulator. Something. So there's way
wouldn't
too
call
many
it
girls in this one house.
I wouldn't call it a dating sim, but
I
we
I
get
know.
some eroge.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Also,
But
can I say I don't understand Saberface? Not really my personal preference. I don't know
what
why.
Saberface is.
Yes.
I'm at a loss. What the fuck is Saberface?
So you know,
It's the character design. He uses the same face on multiple female
Oh.
characters.
Okay,
mostly
yeah.
sabers. So look at
A lot of sabers.
Zog's
My
figure.
new little figure here.
What's
This
what's
is not
their?
the same saber in a red dress. It is a whole
Nero.
different character.
Thank you. It is Nero. Yes.
Yeah.
instead
Nero
of,
Claudius, Emperor of the Roman.
it's
I
a
would
thing.
show you my ruler
Ruler.
if it didn't get sent back to Japan. UPS system, you can kiss my ass.
All right. So, Fate. It's fun. It's dense. And we're into Fate Stay Night that is, of course, a branching path story. I've got to tell you, this is Studio Dean doing what Studio Dean does in 2006. And okay. So, gentlemen,
Yes.
I have some kind of metaphor or simile, depending on if I use the word like or not.
Okay.
A la Zog. All right, so if I had to put a studio with each one of us, Kai, I would have to say Studio Piro.
I'll take that. Okay.
Studio
I was
Piro really
worried.
speaks to
I was
I'm
worried
worried
for a second. I was
now.
like, how am I going to cry tonight? But
No,
okay.
say, I'm worried now.
I'll
It's
take
his
Studio
simile, not
Period.
mine. Don't worry about it.
This is super interesting. I'm so intrigued right now.
All right,
Zog. I
continue.
would have to say Madhouse.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. I'm gonna hear the
very
whys
happy
after.
with
I'm
that.
gonna hear the whys. Go ahead. Go ahead.
strange Studio Bones of all
Really?
things. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
you seem pretty basic, but
Thanks.
still good.
What?
It's my I don't know, it's
Bones
my
has
hero.
got the
That's-
goats.
You're basic,
But-
but
Yes,
people
I
love
know. That's why it's not that big of an insult.
Okay.
I want to be like, I'm Gynax because giant robots
You're
and shit.
you're my
But-
trigger. You're my trigger.
But what I want to be is the OG Studio Dean. Because have you seen their track record? Like,
Yes.
this is what I want to strive for. We're out here putting out Ranma 1/2, picking it up after,
Oh yeah.
the second, whatever. They still had their hands on it. Doing classics like Fate Stay Night, the original run of Fruits Baskets.
Mm-hmm.
Other shows that I have as guilty pleasures like
Vampire
Vampire
Night.
Nights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then going off and doing all manner of other crazy stuff.
The fact that they also helped produce Samurai X, Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So
that's why.
I wanna kind of like, why us being these? You have to tell me now. You brought it up. You have to. Why are we the studios?
Oh shit.
'Cause
We're talking about Fate Stay Night, my guy.
I know,
But I mean, do you want to know why you or like why
Yes.
them?
why I don't care about them honestly, but why me?
Thanks.
I love
because-
you all immensely.
Studio Pierrot is reliable, putting out bangers all the time, and it's always
know what
great
you're gonna get.
narratives.
I would agree with that because I am a great motherfucker and I do great things, but I also have horrible tendencies like Boruto. So
Like
it's like I give you
running
Yu Yu Hakusho,
Well, too.
I give you Bleach, I give you all these goats, but then I
Bleach,
also
Naruto, Black Clover, and then everything else they've made.
yes, they did my favorite and least favorite anime.
That and
polarized.
You tend to go, like their filler. You tend to go on a string of things where you sometimes lose people.
No, I think I'm pretty prolific. But thank you.
But
Make new content, Zog.
I
Been too long.
Shut the fuck up. I love Studio Dean, and that comes with the fact that some of their bangers are in fact put out in the early 2000s. You know, this show is 16 by 9, right? We finally hit that boundary. We didn't have to, but it's still kind of rough, not particularly in detail animation character style. It's good, but it's not mind-blowing. Like we see 6 years later with Ufotable putting in God's work. So we've talked about the lore. We talked about that it's lore dense, but let's talk a little bit more about the Fate world as it pertains to our experience with Stay Night.
So, I mean, this is really kind of where you see a lot of lore dump and a lot of explanations that kind of just get explained here and not really elsewhere. This is, I will say, I feel like this is the only route where Shiro knows about his father and him having Saber as a servant. That's kind of cool that that's only explained in this one. Because it's not explained in Limited Blade Works. It's not explained
We
in
don't
Heaven's
get to
Feel.
see it explained in the other ones like we do this one. But how relevant is that to this story?
I mean, it's relevant
he
because you
doesn't
see.
need to know any of it.
Let me finish. It's
Well-
relevant because you get to see Saber's point of view on that and showing, I didn't really fuck with your dad, but I saw that he was a different person for you, because that is something that is noticed and like hinted on both of the other ones, that she knows who Emiya is to Shiro. But we don't really see how she feels about it. But this one, we get her opinion inside on it, which I really liked, because we saw, okay, I'm interested in Saber as her emotions, besides just being like, the doomed prince or whatever. Like we get to see more of her like opinions
Hey,
and
that bitch is a king.
yes, sorry, king,
Martyr
my
King.
bad. The martyr
Something
king,
like
yes.
that.
So I like that we got that explanation in this one.
Yeah, no, I agree that to see, and especially with everything we get to witness in Fate Zero, and that's the rough part. I think that this show does a really good job at introducing kind of whatever lore it needs to explain how we got here. So all of the Kuritsugu stuff, all of the priest stuff, and the end of the fourth Holy Grail War, and seeing Saber really have that dynamic and see how Kuritsugu changed
Yeah.
through her own experience with him, because she has her own opinions. I absolutely agree. That is an interesting thing that we get to see here.
Because it's like, your dad wasn't just a hero of justice you thought he was. He was like this cold ass murderer too. So
Man said, fuck them kids.
yeah, twice, multiple times.
That I have so many reasons why I left at that. But
And then, so we got that, and then we also got, well, never mind. I can't say that because that's slight too much for Heavensfield.
We get an introduction to our main cast of heroines. You know, we have Sakura, Matoi. We have Rin Tosaka. We have the adopted aunt sister girl, Taiga.
She was cool.
basically a mother figure to Shiro.
Yeah.
I'm always want to know more about like how she came to be in his life because that's never explained.
I think her family owned the estate before Kiritsugu bought it, or something like that.
Kiritsugu had a relationship with her like grandfather before everything, so it's kind of like a backdoor dealing. You're gonna take care of whatever I need to you two, because
Gotcha.
yeah. All right. How do you feel about our? Let's talk about Hero of Justice. Hero of Justice number 1.
Mr. Boy Scout can do no wrong. People die if they're killed. Which, by the way, super disappointed. I didn't watch the right version for that.
I went back and looked as well. It was also in the sub.
Really?
You
That
just
was
have to be
episode-
paying attention. 20.
No, it was
21.
no, it was 23.
Yeah,
I know
Holy Grail.
the part because I know the frame. But
Oh.
he said it slightly differently in the version I was watching, and I was just disappointed that he didn't. Say
He
that.
straight up said people die when they are killed, so it's okay.
You'll have to
Which-
show
Oh,
me because
That is the thing. The dialogue in this is very stilted, and that is not the actor's fault in
It's-
any version.
Yeah,
it's very much like
The
a.
actors do a damn good job, but this dialogue.
And then I like Ren okay, but then he's just like, oh, I'm a boy and you're a girl. I will protect you, and I am Mr. Boy Scout Man. Ah.
No, that's him with
toxic.
Saber the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
I think it's done better in the actual like visual novel for it, because you get this sense of why he's doing it. It's not oh, you're a girl, so I must be manly man kind of thing. It's his own like code of chivalry, being I should be the one putting myself in danger, not anybody else. I'm the one who got a second chance at life. Let me use it to protect people.
And we
that's-
get a hint of that, but it comes attached with the coda of you're a girl and I'm a boy,
Yeah.
so I must be the one at risk all the time.
Yeah, it does not do a good job of clearing that up.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the worst part about this is his route, his Hero of Justice like ideology is just hoed because it's not really portrayed well. I think it's portrayed well in the other routes. But this route is
And
just
this
kind of
one-
like, eh.
In this one, it's supposed to be like a big conflict with Saber, because they are too similar in that they want to be the one risking their lives. They don't want anybody else doing it. But how are you supposed to fight the enemy when you're fighting each other?
And I
With
did
guns.
notice like a different kind of pacing, much different from modern day adaptations of things.
It was very 2006.
Very 2006. I mean, like, it's just
So-
like we're not gonna learn how to actually use the abilities correctly. So maybe episode 11 or 12, and I'm like, whoa, that's a whoo. You would lose everyone now. I mean, everyone would. I mean, but I'm like,
It's
I
also
still-
a different world, man.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to blow your mind right quick?
I'll say, does
No.
that change from any of the later series, or how does that work? I mean, not that I
You
want
got
spoilers.
you
or
gotta
anything,
keep in
but-
mind that this came out 16 years ago.
Oh,
Like, we've gone to 2 different eras of anime. Like, it's definitely, like, even with the intro, it's definitely a product of its time. Because every time I watch the intro, I'm just like, this is so early 2000s.
No, I
this
noticed
is
that.
so early 2000s.
I literally watched
Because none of the stuff in the intro happens in the anime, and that's how it used to be.
Fighting Dreamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, watching both intros, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. They don't do this now.
I think
Just the slow pans and fades of different, like, fully illustrated art, and then the words
talking
pop
about-
up on the screen.
Talking about the
can't
spoiler-free intros.
Yeah.
instead of just playing clips from the damn show.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that they just keep in any intro is Archer versus Lancer, which isn't much of a spoiler since it's like the first fight you get. But
Yeah.
So we talk about the fact that this is a 16-year-old show. Like, what do you think changed between 2006 and 2012?
Animation quality. Animation quality and the availableness to the source material. Like the actual, like, how do I put this? Like the availability of people being able to discover the visual novels.
Okay,
And it's
yeah.
kind of being out more, because in 2006 when this came out, a lot of people weren't really like rocking with the visual novels. And then I think around 2011, 2010 is when there was a huge surge on the internet of like people getting into this type of stuff.
yes, but that was mostly because, at least over here in the U.S., we had nothing for the visual novel. We had we didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
There was no English translation. There was no game. There was nothing until like 2008, 2009, right before Fate Zero came out.
No, that's what I'm saying. The accessibility is what made a huge difference between that jump. And
the growth of the internet and the proliferation of cross-cultural transfer not requiring on big companies to license stuff for different markets, and that being more available on a smaller scale to a more niche audience. Absolutely, I could see that. That makes a lot of sense.
But I still don't think we have an official translation of the game. I think it's all fan translated stuff.
one is
Sounds about
in
right.
talks to come out. Like, they might be doing the Melty Blood treatment, which I pray. There's been a lot of whispers about it, because I would, if you put the visual novel on PS5, you can have all my money. I'm gonna sit here.
Heartbeat. I will drop that money.
I
don't not care.
I'll be a depressed fanboy. Like, give me all the sauce though. Like,
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want.
I want all of it. Just literally translate that shit into English and throw it on there. I don't care.
I want that scene where we're hiding in the abandoned building from,
Oh no.
from Ilias Field and Hercules, and you find out how we can
I want-
replenish mana. Oh,
Yeah. I want that dragon without the metaphor.
That was a very interesting metaphor. I
Why
said,
is your shirt
what?
untied? Like,
Oh, they said what?
what are you doing, Rain? I gotta start the ritual. Speak
Yeah, I
some
gotta rile you up. The more excited you are, the easier it is.
Plus, it's not fair
Look,
that.
let's be real. Neither of you are going to start this shit. Somebody's got to do it.
And in the visual
She's
novel,
taking one for the team.
in the visual novel, I just want you all to know that was indeed confirmed a threesome. So,
I'm
Nice.
just so mad that this all happened right after spoilers. Archer fucking died.
hey, it's what he would have wanted.
Yeah.
Was
They did it in
depressed.
his honor, technically, since
No, honestly.
Oh,
No, they straight up were just like, well, Archer's dead. We're all going to die unless you two can figure out how to get mana. So put on some Barry White. We doing this.
literally
Barry
though,
White. That's something I haven't heard. No, while.
I
I
was
want to say
like,
Billy Ocean, but yeah.
Either one works.
while I haven't known the Fate series for long, I do enjoy Archer. Probably would call him my favorite servant just because, he's cool, and I like
Wait
what
till
he
you get
does.
to his story.
I know, I can't wait.
Dopest.
Well, like,
dopest.
the games I've played. What is happening? Sorry, something loud just happened behind me. I don't know. I'm scared.
Cats!
It's a servant attack.
Oh no.
You got the noble phantasm coming.
Like,
been good knowing you.
and I don't know. I was just like, oh, he died. I guess that was bound to happen.
In the
But
most
what a way to
bad-
go, I guess. Yeah.
Holy shit. The moment he starts speaking English
Yes,
in
English.
in the sub, I'm like,
Oh, dude. The game straight up opens with him doing that chant in English, and it is fucking amazing.
Let me
was
tell
like-
y'all some Amon lore right quick, or
no.
Kai lore. I doxed myself. Fuck. So when I first saw this, I sat here and I was like, you know, I if I was ever going to get anything like tattooed on my back in terms of words, it would be that whole speech going down my back.
Like, if you ever get a prayer,
Yes, like, oh my gosh, these hands will never hold anything. I love it, bruh. It is like one of my favorite. That's my favorite English in all of anime. Like,
it was really
all
good
of anime.
English. Like it was just there subtly. Like you could tell it was English, but it was still very good English. And just like the voice and
I
everything.
think
fuck
It's-
your United States of Smash.
unreasonable to call it English. That's kind of disrespectful.
sorry, I don't. You
'Cause
know
it
what I
was
mean.
so-
I stand by it.
I do know what you mean, but I can't speak Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, true. It
So-
was English. I just referred to it as English because that's what I thought the official name. When
It had
my
the accent.
days of not being a critical weeb, I thought that's what it was called. When they did that, I thought it was the actual term, like asterisk
No,
English.
it's just fucking
No.
fanboys being
I know
assholes
that
about
now
it.
because I've ascendant. So
Sent it.
yes, I've ascended.
it. All right,
Not
But
ascended.
no,
I've
what-
ascended.
the whole,
I must
the
say,
whole,
your English needs a little work.
the whole,
Fuck are you?
the whole fucking I am the boat of my sword speech while he's putting the work to Hercules was a great scene. And then for him to go into the reality marble to finish it off with an unlimited blade works and then find out that, well, he fucking died. But he took out 5 of the lives of Hercules to
He put
do
in
it.
the work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like she was like, he
Any
killed
other
you
circumstance,
5
he would have been
times.
perfectly prepared, but nope.
Absolutely, like, absolute beauty, man. Like,
I love the relationship between Shiro and Archer, because Archer's like this asshole who gives like a sprinkling of wisdom and direction to Shiro Emiya as he needs it, and then we get to see that come through in a very shonen way.
Yeah. Now, when I first watched this, I watched it after I watched UBW. So to see that be their relationship, I was like, well, that's a heel turn. I was not expecting this, but okay.
Yeah. And I kind of
So
know the
It took me a little while to actually, like, figure it out, adjust to that.
knowing what I know, because internet is a thing and people talk on the internet, I was
Fuck.
like, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense actually. And I do wonder when Archer was like, I'm gonna kill you. I was like murder suicide.
so
Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
UBW, I'll get into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll talk about it when I think we'll talk about Unlimited Blade Works when we get there, because I know that's probably
Yes.
next.
So I gotta say, if we're going by Studio Dean's service, not our overall like favorite servants, we're just going by the Studio
No,
Dean.
what the fuck you've seen in Studio Dean's
Yes.
2006 Fate
Yes,
Data.
yes.
The 7 that exist in this,
Yes.
plus Gilgamesh.
Yes.
Yeah, plus-
I'm gonna hit
8
you with something.
servants here.
I'm gonna hit y'all with something crazy. I gotta say Caster, if I'm being honest,
Yeah.
because like she, like her, like determination for her goal, but then her being like sacrificing it for douchebag McGee, whose name I forget.
How dare you? Did you watch this? Anyway,
Yeah, it's
continue.
Kuzuki. Yeah, Kuzuki.
It's Kazuki.
Kazuki. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's either one. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, that guy. I'm like, you know what? And like him being like, I'll make your dream come true, knowing he dead. Like knowing he dead.
No,
Like-
but her dream already came through. Did you
Yes.
listen to her?
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm reinventing the situation. Yes, let me finish. So
Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yes. So the fact that her dream changed because of him and her having to see, you know, I understand like this person. Go ahead.
Her dream never changed.
Okay, so
dream-
technically it because she didn't know him before she came into fruition.
He wasn't the one she was dreaming for. He just fulfilled that role.
Yes. So
Which her dream was to have someone actually give a fuck about her. We got like a 36-second like flashback backstory, so it's not particularly
yeah,
in depth.
don't fuck
but-
up my life. Okay.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
So we got that,
Thank
and
you,
she was an elf.
sweetheart. You
so-
did the bare minimum.
and she was
Compared
an
to
elf.
everybody else, that's great for her.
Yeah, and she got the plot moving pretty expeditiously.
Yeah, too bad that's all UBW stuff.
Yeah, I mean, is it even?
What she actually does in the actual Fate route is so much less.
Yeah, which I'm okay with, But in terms of this iteration, it got to be Caster. It would have been Saber if if it was a different Saber. And it would have been Lancer if it was any other Lancer. Like, this
I-
is the
Never
worst.
gonna be Lancer.
This is
No,
the
it
worst
Gets shit
iteration of
on way
Lancer for
too
me.
much.
Yeah.
Lancer deserves more respect.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. They shit on Lancer this one so hard. So he's definitely
Every
at the bottom
Lancer,
of the
it's every Lancer. It sucks.
I mean, UBW did Lancer pretty justice.
They gave him one extra fight and let him be badass one more time before.
Anyway, let's wait until we get there. But I'd say Caster for me. With the second, I guess, being I don't want it to be
No,
Berserker.
don't
because-
give a second.
Okay, yeah.
Leave room for us.
Okay, Caster.
There's only
Caster.
7.
Caster, because Elfear. Yeah. So who y'all got? I know Strange said Archer. What about you two?
Why Archer? Just brief synopsis.
He was cool. I like
Good
his
enough.
outfit.
I like his
He's
outfit.
got the dual blades.
Oh my
shoots and
God.
he
You
creates
And he's
the
got
things.
Dual blades.
Listen.
sir.
Mystery.
Dual wielding's badass.
Mystery.
was fun.
He don't even really dual blade, honestly. I mean, he do, but like not really.
He
It's
is
the yin and the yang.
Limited blade works.
He has
Okay.
unlimited blade works. That's more than 2 swords. That's amazing. What you mean?
Okay. I've got to
Plus, it was
say,
cool.
my favorite has to be Assassin.
Oh, really?
Respect.
I give you that.
Kojiro, like, and this falls in the same vein of Archer and his like role in the plot and the lore, where it's like Archer is a hero that we have never fucking heard of. Nobody knows him. He's not historical, but he is.
You
sure
don't
as
even get
fuck-
a name for him this time around.
but he is sure there.
He
It-
has a presence.
In that same vein of like it, the heroes don't have to be real or old. Like we have this guy who is the accumulation of every nameless swordsman ever written, and he's just that
He's a
guy.
wraith. He's just a wraith. He doesn't exist.
And for his only job to be gatekeeper after being summoned by Caster, another servant, like, yeah, man.
That's
Fucking
wild.
ridiculous. For him to have an ability that reaches beyond true magic.
No, that was Assassin was really cool, and I actually like the concept because I know somewhat of like what happens when like these servants are, how they're summoned in, how they're It's basically like a gotcha game, but you can augment your, like, if you want to use a historic item to summon a specific servant, you can. You know,
It's
otherwise
not so much
it's
a gacha
just
game.
yeah.
It's not so much a gacha game as if you don't use a catalyst, you summon a servant who's similar to you. That's kind of why the person who summons Ryder gets Ryder. We'll get into that more when we get to Heaven's Feel.
Oh no.
Where we focus on Ryder a bit more.
Oh.
Okay. And that's one of the things I wanted to... First off, before we get to it, Zog, favorite servant?
Just servant?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm just going off Studio Dean stuff,
Yes.
I would either say Ryder or Archer.
This is the right show to choose Ryder. Well, I
Is
say
it?
that like I don't know, man. I don't know. Compared
You
to
don't know
Unlimited Blade Works.
Yes.
Yes.
Ryder gets to show off a whole lot of shit in this. You don't get a good sense of who Ryder is, but you get a good sense of like
What she can do.
what she's capable of. And she definitely has that big kind of like mysterious quality about her where you don't know why she's doing these things, but especially when halfway into her scenes and her story, you kind of wonder why the fuck she's listening to her master. Because she doesn't like him at all. She wants nothing to do with him.
And we get enough to know kind of who she is in mythology, but absolutely no explanation of how that works. And I love it.
And for those who don't know about it, and to reiterate the point, because I'm sure we said it last time we talked about Fate, anytime a servant uses a nibble phantasm, it kind of reveals who they were. It reveals their myths.
Yeah.
So it shows their identity, so they got to be very careful about that.
Yeah, because that's the big giveaway, because that's the thing that like made them memorable. So yes.
So when you hear Saber running around screaming, Excalibur! You kind of know, oh, King Arthur.
Or, you
Not
know,
that matters.
yeah. See, that's why I rock with, like, freaking a scan... Yes, we talked about it. A Skandar, in Fate Zero. Because it was like, you don't know who his is until you in it, and at that point, it's too late. Unless you fucking Gilgamesh, bitch.
Unless you're fucking Gilgamesh.
Bitch.
And he don't give a shit. He will straight up be like, I am the king of heroes. I am the great Gilgamesh. He don't give a shit if you know who he is, because
like,
it don't matter. It don't matter.
And that just kind of blows my mind. On just Gilgamesh again. I'm just like, I knew of him, and they kind of did explain him a little bit in Zero, but like him just kind of flaunting like the main cast is like he's got all the noble phantasms like ever, and it's like, oh, I guess that is kind of a big deal, isn't it? I never really
Gilgamesh
thought
is
about it
broken,
that
bro.
way. Yeah,
Like,
no,
He
he's
is
so broken.
completely fucking broken.
He's the,
And when he gives a Skandar that respect, that means a lot. Because it's like...
But Studio Dean, at a certain point in the lore, Gilgamesh just shows the fuck up.
yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah.
It's the final fight. We've been building with Caster to have this big old climax, and at the end, all three parties, Saber, Rin, and fucking our hero of justice, Emiya, are all having like duking it out 1-on-1. It's a whole thing, and then fucking Gilgamesh shows up, and none of that matters.
Yeah.
Caster's
He
just
one-shots Caster.
murdered. And we get the nice little scene between her and the fucking do whatever you want. Just don't fuck up my lifestyle. Yeah. And then we get into the whole Gilgamesh is here for the next 8-ish episodes. So.
I
The
can-
real big bad has shown himself.
Yeah.
Congrats, guys! You went up a level.
And I can
Yeah.
only imagine just like watching it back when Fate Zero just didn't exist and being like, what?
Yeah.
No, it was very
No.
confusing.
It definitely shows why you have to have those moments with Saber, being like, yes, there was another girl where I fought it with your father. This is the stuff that happened. He was the servant in that one. I don't know why he's still here, though. Yada, yada, yada. Oh my god, it must be Kirei.
I'm wondering, honestly, if you could watch up to the point of the Studio Dean Fate Stay Night to where Gilgamesh shows up, and then as like a flashback, go watch how that happened in Fate Zero, and then go back.
I
don't
don't
know,
think
it's
it would be worth the investment. Just watch Fate Zero and then Studio Dean, if that's how you want to do it. If not, get your first like feet wet with Studio Dean, like it's meant to be.
Yeah.
I say, like I'm a fucking, I don't know.
COD and bastard. So, like, and I feel like that's what kind of made this one, like, not my favorite, I guess I could say, is that a lot of stuff didn't really make sense until we saw Zero. Because, like, we're like, oh, yeah, we've seen Zero, so now it makes sense. But, like, before we saw that, I was left really confused with this ending and kind of unsatisfied. I was like, okay, you know. And especially the whole part with, like, the end of, like, Shuro and Saber. Like, when it's like, okay, you know, we won. Saber wakes up in the forest with only I can assume for that to be
What?
Lancelot.
It's Avalon.
Avalon, yeah, my bad.
She wakes up in Avalon, the paradise of Arthurian mythology.
I don't know, because that was a whole like I'm back before I die and go throw the sword in the lake.
Yeah.
So she
'Cause that's what
I don't know if she's back in like heaven or if she's back in like I'm almost dying regular aspirin.
Yeah.
The when we normally see her before she's summoned and she's on that pile of corpses, blood covering everything, that's the moment where she was just about to die. As a servant, being recorded by the Throne of Heroes and everything, she is stuck in that one spot until she's summoned by a mage for a Holy Grail War. The fact that she wakes up in a different spot shows that she's moved on. She's on something different.
Okay. That's some
Which-
lore shit, man. I love
Yeah,
I know,
like I
it's
said,
like-
the lore is fucking dense.
So now
Yeah,
I'm
but-
thinking like all the stuff that like maybe that was her wish was to get the sword thrown in the lake, like that was the unfinished business. I don't know.
But here's the secret. They didn't. Here's not the secret. This is the whole fucking point of the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody got the Holy Grail in the Fifth Grail War.
Yeah.
It's
Same
like they
thing with
blew
the
it up
Force.
like the last time.
Yeah. Last time, it just left a crack. This time, Saber was all in on it and was just like, alright, let's blow this bitch up. Saber was willing to let go of her wish. Everybody was willing to let it go so that this shit didn't happen.
Which I guess was this one also corrupted this time around.
This is the same grail that Kiritsugu had. Yes, it was corrupted.
So is it just corrupted from the fourth Grail War onwards now? Like, what's the point? Third? Okay, that was third.
It was corrupted during the Third Holy Grail War. We're probably never going to see what actually happened there.
Actually, they did
But,
confirm that one is getting made.
Ooh,
That'll be
hell
fun.
yeah.
That
That's
was
gonna
like
be
the
great.
one decent thing Will ever told me.
That is going to be fucking great. I cannot wait for it. But
Did
yeah,
you get the 12th servant? Or not 12th, the 8th? Or 9th?
I don't know what you're
The
talking about.
opposite of
The
the
third-
ruler class servant.
the Avenger.
Yeah.
Not Avenger.
Something.
Avengers?
What?
Seven servants plus Gilgamesh in
I
Studio
only
Dean's
know-
universe, guys.
Okay.
Oh,
I
sorry,
know
yeah.
about 8.
You,
All right.
you got
What?
7 servant types, and there are
Yes.
2 special ones. A
Well,
ruler and an Avenger. One is a cautionary tale kind of thing.
And we won't get those until after the stay night everything.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Apocrypha
pretty
is when one of those show up. so.
Expanded
And
universe.
If we get to that, I'll explain that shit.
Was
too.
it-
When
Is
we
this
get
some
to
heavens-
Apocrypha.
Is there some
When?
Heavensfield stuff you're spoiling for me? Wow.
All right.
No, we haven't spoiled anything with Heavensfield, I promise.
I'm giving
right.
you backstory to that shit.
With this entire story being based meta wise on which girl you choose and which route you take. Do you feel that Shiro and Saber should have got to stay together? We should have had a happy ending. Or did you feel that both having a bittersweet release of their bullshit and moving on was the right way to end it?
Yes.
I
I
think this was the best way to end it for what it currently is.
I agree with the latter statement because one thing about Fate is just winning doesn't mean being happy. Winning means being alive. So, kind of. I mean, some people win as they die in Fate too. But anyway,
It's
so
situational as
yes.
things happen.
I think the fact that we saw that, Saber was at least some semblance of peace, and that Shiro was like, "I'm still on my bullshit" and running away at the end, was like a very good, kind of point. And that we saw the development happen mainly to Saber. Granted, in the other routes, we still, UBW is like, so that's a whole conversation when we get there, because I don't know whose route that truly is, but
It's Ren's.
It-
It's Ren's. It's got to be Ren's. There's no other option. That's the only
it's
one left.
technically Shiro's route. Technically.
Okay,
If-
yes,
if
don't
we wanna
fucking-
get technical,
But,
it's all Shiro.
anyway,
all
we'll-
three of them.
Don't
we'll get
fucking
to that.
start with me.
But like this one, I feel like it's clear that this one is Saber's route because we see her journey, and that's at the forefront. And Heavensfield, we know whose route that is. Woohoo! So it's like I would say yes. I feel like they didn't need to stay together. Because that would have been completely. Okay, never mind. That wouldn't have been impossible because it does happen somewhere along the way. But
I
don't
for
know,
those
man.
who do, for those who, when we complete the whole Fate Stay Night thing, we'll get into it. But
Yes, ask
there
this
is
question
extra
again.
there is an extra thing that curtails to this specific route.
Yes, ask this question again. Like, put this one down somewhere and ask it once we finish the Stay Night route, because there's another side of this I can argue, but short answer, yes. It's fine.
I'm glad that it took this long for us to get so off the rails in lore. I am impressed at our professionalism. Go
Yes.
team.
Because
We
there's
tried.
a lot of... This question knocks on the door of all the Fate bullshit. So, asterisk, this is the right play until it's not.
Okay.
The basic rule for every Grail War, it follows a specific set of rules and patterns until it doesn't.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Get over
Yeah,
it.
I noticed that. At some point. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I feel
Fate
like we're
Stay
never
Night
gonna.
may be Fate Stay Night may be the original Holy Grail War and introduction to the whole Nasu verse and everything. For most people, I think there were some stuff he did before Fate Stay Night.
yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah, I know about those.
anyway,
can't remember
this
the
is
name,
the one
but
that
spit.
truly took it off and everything, but it's filled with so many exceptions to the rules. Fuck, there's a servant whose noble phantasm is called Rule Breaker.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's
was like,
hard
what?
to understand how everything works when there's so many exceptions. So, kind of why I think it's better to start with Fate Zero, even though a lot of the twists and turns you get through this story in all three routes is spoiled very early on.
Yeah. And the real answer is it's so much easier to watch Fate Zero, get hooked by the whole vibe, and then go immediately into Unlimited Blade Works.
This is the hardest one to digest. Stay Night Studio DEEN is the hardest Fate to digest. And after this one, I would say it would be Apocrypha. But Only because Apocrypha is a lot of information up front. Like, a lot. Like 10 episodes of just pure information before anything happens. Like, I am not exaggerating.
And that Grail War is wildly different than any other one you see.
But it's dope as fuck, though. Like,
one of my favorite versions of Fate. One of my favorite stories altogether.
yes.
And possibly has my favorite servant overall.
We're going to talk about who that is later. I have a feeling. But, yes. Studio Dean's is no disrespect to them. It's just the dialogue was all over the place, which technically isn't their fault. But it was just so the pacing, like Strange just said it earlier, the pacing was so off from all the other like Fates, because what I really love about Unlimited Blade Works is that first 3 episodes, and if you know, you know, of how it presents that information. So that's what hooked me so hard about that. And then Heaven's Fields are movies, which are the only ones that are, well, not technically, but the only one that like...
The only stay night routes that are in film form.
Yes. So that makes that easily digestible, but also, like, just what happens is so gripping in that one. Like, Dean is the only one where you gotta be like, okay, Saber, tell us nothing, please. And then, okay, Saber, tell us more. Now tell us a little bit more. Now we get the full thing. And now Ren's like, that's wrong. So, it's...
Okay. I think that's very telling to, like, how they were made. And all 3 of them are kind of made a little for different situations. Like you said, Heaven's Fields movies. You got a completely different kind of audience. You got different ways you got to present the story in that one.
Yeah.
UBW was made in a time where streaming was heavily done. So even though it was shown broadcast in Japan, it was meant to be taken all together, like binged, or taken at your own pace.
Yeah.
Where you can go back and remind yourself of this stuff. So they never had to take the time in an episode to remind you of something from before. This never got that option.
Yeah,
so it kind of had to slow down and do that pacing. So
yeah.
And
seeing how the 3 routes are completely different, I find that very cool.
and thank God it's not trying to be a long running Shonen anime. It does still have those kind of story beats that, as you described, come from broadcast television in 2006, because that's the only way to consume the content primarily for the target audience and that this is being produced for. But no, absolutely. Fate, thanks to Studio DEEN, is a very interesting time capsule to go back through and witness all the variation in source material and adaptations over a long time span, and see the change in technology and the change in storytelling techniques and the needs of the broadcast industry. No, this is an interesting case study. Weeb-ass archaeologist. That's content breaker right here.
Let that be a job, bro. Can I get a degree in weebdom?
Arco-weebology.
You just have to start writing fucking case studies.
Just video essays go.
Yeah,
And you gotta get your
like this is.
You gotta get your excavation tools out. You know, your brush and your little hook
your thesis
thing.
must
your
be an
scraper.
hour long at least.
Dust off your fucking VHSs with pristine, delicate care.
Yes.
So
Get those fine little brushes.
we know how we feel about Fate.
Yes.
Overall, Studio Dean's 2006 Fate Stay Night. Final verdict. How you feel?
I still love it because it's part of the overall series that I love. I was literally telling you this about Digimon yesterday, Kelz. Even though Try is ass, I still love it because it's part of
Man
something.
said, objectively, it's a C, but I love it.
So, objectively, Studio Dean's version is probably also a C, but I love it as something that overall is great. And this definitely has a place in the 3. It's at the bottom, but it's definitely a part of something great. So, probably won't ever rewatch it again now that I've done this, though.
All right. I once heard the Studio DEEN version of Fate Stay Night referred to as the redheaded stepchild of the Fate Stay Night series.
The Shiro Emiya
Or just the Fate
of Fate.
series in general.
Shiro
The
Emiya.
Shiro Emiya of the Fate
Oh no.
and damn, it's hard not to argue with that aspect when you watch all of the other Fate stuff and what they do, how expansive they get, how crazy shit can get, and how some are just sometimes much more meaningful. But it's still a nice little, like, if you were watching all that Fate stuff, it's a good palate cleanser to not only remind yourself of how a basic kind of Fate show should work and how it can progress, but also ground you in, hey, this shit doesn't have to be universe scale kind of shit. You can have those insane stakes without going that big.
Man, I hold an immense amount of concern for when we get to the trigger levels of scale creep. Just, oh yeah, now the Sixth Grail War, oh, it's about fucking eternity. Everything that's ever existed ever is going to be at stake.
Like, you're talking about the moon?
Don't tell me
Grand
that's
Order.
where we wind up to.
Grand Order, yeah.
Basically,
Grand Order's the moon.
Grand
right?
Order.
What the fuck?
Okay.
No,
Anyways.
Grand Order is not the moon.
Which
Grand
one's
Order is the moon. Grand Order is reality, actually.
Oh, Lord.
We'll get
All
into
right,
it.
well,
when we
I'm
get
lost
there. Don't worry
officially.
about
Good
it.
job, everyone. We did it.
Next Fate we get to will be Unlimited Blade Work.
Works, boy. I love it. I'm
But-
so excited. Ooh.
That might be next quarter. Who knows?
It will be
We'll have
next
to talk
quarter.
about it.
We have to get to Heavensfield, so it will be next quarter.
Yes. But that's a wrap for Studio Dean's Fate Stay Night here on Content Breaker. You can catch more of us ranting and raving about various things all on all your podcatchers. Talking Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Podcast at Content Breaker, or Twitter, Instagram, YouTube as well. Content Breaker. Gentlemen, y'all have stuff too.
Yes, you can find me at Static Dreads with a Z on Twitter. Strange, put it on the bottom, like I've been asking for years. Yeah, I'd have.
Anyways, you can find me at StrangelyInt on Twitter. And then you can look for me on Twitch and YouTube. Look for Strangely Entertaining. On Twitch, I like to try to stream 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sometimes it's a Wednesday. My life is chaotic. Much like the Fate universe itself.
Good effort. Good effort. And of course, the other product where two weebs talk about weeb archaeologist stuff. Your typical Shonen protagonist. How more nerdy can you get? That said, we have an anime coming up next week that is very impactful and influential in our Studio Piro lives. Zog, what is it?
It is what I would call the best of the big three. Fuck you, fight me. We're talking about Bleach.
Now you'll feel like number
Whoa.
one. The best part of this
Damn sure got the
entire
best
show.
music.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
It'll be an
you
interesting
mad.
podcast next week. Interesting podcast.
Next week on
Cat.
Content Breaker.